1, 2, 3, 4.
Chant down Babylon kingdom, team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang bling bling, chant down Babylon kingdom, team make we chant down Vatican now. Chant down Babylon kingdom, team make we chant down Vatican now. Bang bling bling, chant down Babylon kingdom, team make we chant down Vatican now.
What up, y'all? It's Babylon 5 Podcast. It is your boy Jermaine event. This is episode 195, Walk the Walk. I'm talking right now and I feel just slightly disappointed. If you guys are listening to the audio, you're like, wow, bro, you sound super loud, super crispy. Yeah, I found some cheat codes. You know, as a guy who went to audio engineering school, it's so often that you see just in the online community, you'll see people like, yo, have you seen this thing that they're advertising and it says it'll really help your workflow and like blah blah blah, and they're like, no man, that shit is for frauds. Like, you need to just like go online and search how to actually do it. Train your ears. Like, learn how to be like an amazing engineer. You know what I'm saying? That's what the online community comes at you with. But as I recently found out, if you just ignore all of that shit and try those shortcuts, you're like, holy fuck, they work. My God, they work. Maybe that's why they didn't want you to take the cheat codes, because those shortcuts or cheat codes, they work. This is how other niggas keep winning. And you keep them other niggas just trying to get it right. They can't figure out, how'd you get it so amazing? Oh, they watched 1,000 hours of videos online and tested their ears and just became amazing. I've seen some niggas like that. The nigga Charles Mammoth, or Charlie Cooks, I think it was what he goes by now. That nigga is honestly, he's like a genius to me. When I've seen some of the shit that nigga does, I'm just like, whoa. He just did it, like the mixing, the producing, it's like everything. It just comes natural. It blew me away when he was mixing one of my songs and he went to the guitar and like was hitting the strings. He was like, I just had to see what key it was in. I had no fucking idea what just happened. What just happened? Like, but it seemed cool as fuck. I don't even know if he did anything. Somebody could hear that and be like, yo, he was pulling your fucking chain. I'd be like, well, shit, he knew what the fuck he was doing, because it seemed cool as fuck, and I've thought about it ever since. But if you guys are listening to this audio, you're gonna be like, damn, yeah, this shit is crispy. This is pretty crispy, so this is gonna be the new norm of how this bad boy sounds going forward. I'm disappointed because I did order a webcam, something that would really, it was just higher quality and it's just dope all around, just for these videos, the YouTube videos, and be really out here putting out content. And it was like, it's supposed to be delivered today, but then all of a sudden I get an email. Well, all of a sudden it updates and says, like, what did it say? It said, like, today is the fucking 14th. All right, it's supposed to be delivered today, and it just updated and said it'll maybe be here on the 17th or the 18th. All right, how does that happen? How not tomorrow, if not today? You know what I'm saying? Like, what do you mean the 17th or the 18th? It is the 14th. So I'm disappointed or just annoyed in that, because I wanted to, like, hit them hard with the fresh new audio, fresh new visuals, you know. just disappointed that all that didn't come into fruition at the same time. I was like waiting to record this shit just because other shit delivered. I ordered that shit, and then I was like, oh, well, if this shit is coming, because I don't have things delivered to my apartment. I have things delivered to like a pickup spot. So, because I live like downtown, and they'll just leave your shit in the middle of a downtown fucking residential area. Are you crazy? They just leave your shit there. So I was like, I ordered some other shit, like I could pick it all up at once, and everything else delivered except this fucking camera. So I was just annoyed, just waiting around. I was like, let me wait until like 5. It's like 5:38 right now. I was like, let me just wait till 5, and then it updated and saying, nah, nigga, it ain't coming now. It ain't coming now. But this is episode 195. Walk the walk. All right. Episode 195, calling this bad boy Walk the Walk. And we are going to talk about UFC Charlotte. UFC on ABC. It's all the same event. Early card for no reason as far as I'm concerned, with them being in Charlotte. But it was an early morning card. That's cool with your boy. We're going to talk about some fights on that card. We're going to talk about next week's card, which is headlined by Mackenzie Dern versus Angela Hill. As you guys know, I'm a big Angie Hill fan. I was just curious where they're fighting. They're fighting it's going to be in the Apex. Next week's card. Back to Las Vegas Fight Night. UFC Vegas fucking 73 or whatever the fuck. Or whatever the fuck it is. We're going to talk about it, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to talk about this card. And if you guys would like to follow this podcast on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod. You guys can email this podcast at Babylon5Podcast@gmail.com if you guys would like to hit that like button. Anywhere that you're listening to this podcast, I'd appreciate it so much. And if you guys are on Twitch, go ahead and follow this podcast at twitch.tv/Babylon5. If you guys would like to cop some merchandise, head on over to teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. And lastly, don't just be my niche, be my patrons. Head on over to patreon.com/Babylon5Pod, and you can be my patron today, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to talk about UFC on ABC, aka UFC Charlotte, headlined by Jairzinho Rozenstruik versus Jailton Almeida. As I gave you my predictions on some of the fights last week, and I picked for the main event that Jailton Almeida would dominate Jairzinho Rozenstruik in what was only one round. Same old song, same old dance, ladies and gentlemen. Jailton Almeida takes Rozenstruik down, grapples him a bit, takes mount, rains down punches. Rozenstruik then gives up the back. Jailton gets a rear naked choke. Same old song and dance for Jailton Almeida. Rozenstruik coming into this fight had put on some weight. He was usually fighting around like 240. He was 265 for this, so he had to cut weight for this fight. Jailton coming in 231 when he weighed in. Definitely not cutting weight for that. I wouldn't believe so. I mean, he's well under the 265 limit. Be no reason to cut weight. And he's so good with the grappling. none of these heavyweights, especially at that level, or because as I said, I hate this division. You know what I'm saying? I hate the heavyweight division. And it was like all night, who was it? Chase Sherman versus Carl Williams. People were like, this is the worst division ever. And it is. It sucks. I hate it. There's a few guys who know how to fight like other people in the divisions, like other divisions. It shouldn't be like, well, they can swing and knock each other out with one punch. That's the heavyweight division. It's like, nah. It's not even interesting to watch. You got Jailton Almeida, who's coming in giving up 34 pounds at weigh-ins. Jairzinho Rozenstruik most likely came into that fight close to like 280. You know what I'm saying? He's probably like 280, if not more, on fight night. And Jailton just finishes this dude in one round. I was listening to, I think, MMA Fighting, I believe, and they were talking about this, like, post-fight reactions, and they were like, it just shows you how bad the heavyweight division is. That, what was Rozenstruik, like 8? I believe Rozenstruik was, like, ranked 8, and then, like, such a high-ranked heavyweight clearly had no idea what to do on the ground. The whole time he's on the ground, fucking Jailton is advancing. He's like making transitions, and fucking Rozenstruik is staring off at his corner, just hoping for advice. Please tell me what to do right here. He's staring at his corner the entire time. All right, this is a high-level heavyweight, highly ranked heavyweight in the UFC, and he has no idea what to do if that fight goes to the ground. This division fucking sucks. Alright? It sucks. You know what? It's just fucking dude. It sucks. Get rid of this division. But you got niggas like Jailton Almeida, who understands how limited this division is. So he's like, I'll give up almost 40 pounds at weigh-ins, and I'll let you outweigh me by probably fucking 60 pounds come fight night. And I'm still gonna just dominate you in one round because you have none of you big boys have any idea what to do when it goes to the ground. Except for John Jones, okay? He wouldn't be able to do this to John Jones, not in my opinion. If it somehow was booked and it happened, I'd be shocked. But I don't think that happens to John Jones. But see, that's how I flew to Vegas to see John Jones fight Ciryl Gane. Because I was like, well, these are big boys. These are heavyweights. Yeah, he's got a grappling advantage, but, you know, he's never been hit by somebody this big. He goes in there, takes that boy down immediately, and chokes him out. All right? Because there's such a deficiency with the grappling in the heavyweight division, that if you have just the slightest, it shouldn't be so hard for Curtis Blades. It shouldn't be this hard for Curtis Blades. He should be like, he should have fought for the belt at least once or twice at this point, if not the champion, before John got there. He's heavy-handed, but I feel like if he somehow relied more on his jab and maybe just like trips, getting a hold of these people and tripping them. He needs to just he should be doing a lot better in the UFC. He isn't for some reason. It's unfortunate. But Jailton Almeida wins. I don't know what he does from here. I don't know what Sergey Pavlovich is up to, because he's probably not going to fight, as they said, until he fights the winner of John Jones versus Stipe, if that fight happens. But if that fight does happen, in the meantime, in between time, I would love to see Jailton Almeida versus Sergey Pavlovich. I think that would answer a lot of questions for both sides. You know what I'm saying? Like, if Sergey can keep it standing what does Almeida look like if he has to stand with a monster like Sergey Pavlovich? And what does Sergey was saying? He's improved in the grappling, but if he's taken down by Almeida here, who's looked like an absolute beast when it comes to this jiu-jitsu, like, I think that answers a lot of questions, and I would definitely love to see whoever wins that fight for the belt. That would answer a lot of questions, potentially. I mean, if Almeida goes in there and runs through Pavlovich, then I still have a lot of questions about Almeida. If Pavlovich goes in there and just knocks him out quickly with some striking, I still have a lot of questions about Pavlovich. So I would like to see that match. I would like to see them both tested if that's what's next. I don't know what's next for Jairzinho Rozenstruik. It's heavyweight, so anything, the sky's the limit. This division sucks. It takes one win, and you're right there in contention because it's so fucking thin, alright? It's so thin. This fucking division sucks. I hate the heavyweight division. It's just, they switched this fight to the main event instead of the fucking co-main. And as the walkouts are happening for the co-main and the crowd is going nuts for the co-main, and how I'm feeling, I'm getting goosebumps for the co-main. I'm like, they fucked up. Nobody knows who the fuck Jairzinho Rozenstruik is except for hardcores. And then fucking half of those fucking hardcores know who Jailton Almeida is before that fight. You know what I'm saying? So, like, to take Anthony Smith, a record of 36, coming in here with a record of 36-17. You know what I'm saying? Long-time UFC veteran. That's the guy you should have kept in the main event, especially with Johnny Walker. And that fight delivered. I was all about this fight in the co-main with Johnny Walker versus Anthony Smith. I picked Anthony Smith to win that fight. I said, you get some inconsistent performances from these guys, but in this one, I felt like they both came in on point, ready to fucking go. But unfortunately for Anthony Smith, dude, fucking every time I see Johnny Walker fight, I'm like, holy shit, that dude is gigantic. Alright? That dude is gigantic. He's just towering. He looks like a whole new species of fucking person. Like, his head is like twice the size of fucking Anthony Smith. He's a giant, alright? Fucking Johnny Walker is a giant, and he was just kicking that leg. He'd double up on the leg kicks, on the calf kicks, the outside calf kicks. He was just all over this man, alright? All over Anthony Smith. And Anthony Smith was able to, land a few big right hands, but he couldn't really make too much of it because he couldn't really get too close to Walker without Walker, hurting him. Walker was hurting this boy, with the head kicks, with fucking punches, with the fucking leg kicks. There was a few times where I thought Walker could have finished him, but he didn't. It went to a decision. Dana White was talking shit, saying he didn't wow anybody with that performance, but he wowed me, man. He looked great. He looked very improved. I think that, if we see a Walker like that, because he was really good offensively, and he stayed safe, and then he kept with the output, kept attacking that leg, kept coming with flying knees, and then he was safe. He was out of there. He was fighting long. Dude, Johnny Walker looked badass in this fight. I don't want to hear that nonsense from Dana White talking about Johnny Walker didn't wow anybody. He wowed your boy. That was the best Johnny Walker we've ever seen. And Powhatan, they were talking before this fight. Well, during the fight, I was hearing the commentators talking that Anthony Smith feels like the winner of this fight will fight Alex Pereira next. And after the fight, Pereira posted a picture of him with his face and he's watching Johnny Walker on screen, saying he wants to fight Johnny Walker. I would love to see that fight. I would like to see that fight. I think Alex Pereira will definitely not look as big against these light heavyweights as he looked against the fucking 185ers. As I'm saying, every time I see Johnny Walker, I'm like, holy fuck, dude, he's gigantic. And when we see Alex Pereira versus Johnny Walker, we're gonna be like, holy fuck, he looks tiny compared to Johnny Walker. He's gonna look tiny in there. And I believe, well, I don't know, I think that fight's actually 50-50. I don't think Walker has the best chin, and I think Pereira has decent reach, and we've seen that he does have that touch of death. So I think if he dinks him, he just might sink him, is what I believe. So I don't know, I think it's a good fight. I would kind of lean toward Johnny Walker, because if he stays as active as he did in this fight and that fight, I would say from the fights that I've seen with Pereira, if you kind of crowd him with offense like that, leg kick, like attacking all different parts, you can kind of freeze him up. If you like a stick and move, like how Israel was doing in the earlier rounds in both fights, you kind of freeze him up. So I think that's a really good fight. I'd be interested in seeing that, man. There were some more fights on there. Obviously, it wasn't just two fights. Ian Machado, Gary, please say that Machado defeats Daniel Rodriguez in the first round via head kick, leading to ground strikes. He conditioned him with kicks to the body, and then when he finally saw him reacting super hard to the body kicks, he went up top and fucked Rodriguez up. I didn't think it would be one round. Dan Rodriguez was in the best shape that I've seen him in his career, and he got finished faster. Well, he's the first time he was finished, I believe. I believe that was the first time he was finished in the UFC. So that was, or knocked out. So that was pretty interesting. Carlos Olberg looked like a beast in finishing Ihor Potieria. Alex Morono finishes Tim Means, as I feel like he should have. I feel like that's what that fight was for. You got 42-year-old Matt Brown knocking out Court McGee. Court McGee coming in here off a knockout, looking a little chinny in his old age. So I felt like that was kind of a foregone conclusion. Like, I think if anything, it's like, oh, Matt is 42, but he's not coming in here off a knockout. All right, Court seemed like Court was gonna get knocked out in there, and he got knocked out. Yeah, Carl Williams versus Chase Sherman. That was a pretty sloppy fight. Carl looked great in the first round, but Chase looked the best he's looked in his career. Like, it's like most of these heavyweights come in and they're just fat as fuck, like literally just like not in any kind of shape at all. And they've been dominating people on the fucking on the indie scene because they're just big fucking people. It just takes one punch, so they'll be like undefeated with like 10 knockouts, and then they come in here against niggas that just know how to grapple against the fucking fence real quick, tire you out for a fucking 2 minutes. 2 minutes of grappling against the fucking cage. These guys come in and they're fucking gassed out. And then they get knocked out. They lose like 3 in a row. Then they come in like Chase Sherman in the shape of their lives. They finally are working out right. And then they surprise these like newcomers, the newer guys that are knocking out guys on this lower fucking scenes, man. It's I hate this division. Cody Stamann versus Douglas Silva de Andrade. I didn't watch that fight too closely. From what I saw, I thought Cody was winning, but I didn't get to watch it too closely. I was at work. The Mandy Baum Jeon Kim fight was interesting from the face-offs. I thought at the ceremonial face-offs, because as I said, I've been reminded I need to watch them face-offs, and I'm watching it. And Mandy Baum and Kim get up. They're getting real close to each other, and Bomb is saying something to get Kim, and Kim is just like, fuck you, and like, I didn't know if Kim speaks English. Like, I know she's from South Korea. She's from South Korea, and so I didn't even know if she spoke English before that, but like, Bomb is saying something to her, and she's just going, fuck you, and so I'm like, holy fuck, is there like something deeper to this? And as we find out after the fight, these two don't like each other. There's a beef leading up to this fight. These two ladies have had a long problem, and I saw Derek Brunson saying he knows both ladies, and he says with Kim, she's usually like just so bubbly, just the happiest person to be around, and she just fucking hates this Mandy Bone person. Like, he's never seen her this way except for when it comes to this Mandy Bone person. So there's like illegal knees. Kim kicks Bomb after the bell, like blatantly after the bell, like just kicks her off of her, like loses a point for that. Then like in the third round, dude, there was a clinch. She had her in the clinch. Kim had Bomb in the clinch, was kind of like trying to take her down, and meanwhile her corner is screaming, please let that go and strike with her, you need to finish, please let that go, please let that go. They keep screaming this. That's all you can hear is her corner screaming, please let that go. And then Kim knees this woman, a grounded opponent, in the head. Ref stops the fight, and Bomb wins via split decision. Wins a split via a technical split decision. Basically, they had to stop the fight due to the illegal knee. Bomb claimed she couldn't continue, and yeah, she wins the fight. It was pretty weird. There's a beef outside of that, but with Jeon Kim, I believe she is. Fuck, my internet's off. That kind of fucked me over, but I believe Kim is on her like fifth fight, maybe fourth. Maybe, I know it's at least 4 fights in a row, but I believe that fight makes it 5. Jeon Kim is now 9-7, and I believe Alexa Grasso, she's on a 5-fight losing streak. Yikes. And I felt bad when I was looking at it, because I was like, it starts with Alexa Grasso, which I was like, yeah, that'll happen. But then Molly McCann, and I'm like, there's no excuse for losing to Molly McCann. There's no excuse. Priscilla Cachoeira, I was like, all right, whatever. Jocelyn Edwards, I fucks with Jocelyn Edwards. That's a tough fight. And then it's Mandy Bone, so that's 5 consecutive losses in the UFC. I don't know how much longer Kim will be in the UFC. 5 losses in a row, and to lose that last one with a late kick in the second, and then the disqualification essentially in the third round, to have 5 straight losses. I don't think things are going to be too good for Jeon Kim, unfortunately. In the second fight of the night, Brian Battle, the hometown kid out of Charlotte, knocks out Gabe Green in 14 seconds. I believe they said it was the 6th fastest knockout in the UFC. So congrats to Brian Battle, dude. He was amped up. He told that dude he better have been working on his double leg, because if he stands with him, he's gonna knock him out. And Gabe Green came forward trying to brawl, and he knocked that fool out in 14 seconds. So that's a beast ass fight. Go back and watch that clip of the entire fight. if you guys can, because it's pretty dope. He had that place fucking rocking. I was like, why didn't they put this guy on the main card? He's got this place rocking for him. Jessica Rose Clark loses in the very first fight, and I predicted that she. I mean, I guess I didn't predict it last week on the podcast. I predicted in my mind when I do my like DraftKings shit. I was looking at the way Tainara fights and how she goes for the clinch. The commentators were like, "Oh, she's a Muay Thai fighter. Lisboa is probably gonna want to keep it standing." But I'm like, everything I've watched on Lisboa tells me she's gonna keep that pressure and try to grapple her up against that cage, take her down, take her back, and rear naked choke her. And that's exactly what happened. That's what I thought was gonna happen. That's exactly how she went about that fight. So unfortunate for Jessica Rose Clark. I believe that's 3 fights in a row, but maybe you get at least 4. If you're a woman, maybe you can get at least 4 before they do anything. We will see. And next week, ladies and gentlemen, we have UFC Fight Night. Dern versus Hill. Mackenzie Dern takes on Angela Overkill Hill. See, this is whack that the Wi-Fi is out. My wife went to, I'm not blaming her, but I know she went across the street to her friend's house, and the cord, just the plug where the modem is plugged into, is right there by the door, and sometimes it gets hit, so maybe it was bumped into as she was walking out. But it's down, and I gotta try to rely on my phone here. I try to set it up to have it in one quick, smooth little space here. Nice little space here, but we'll see. Yeah, so we got Mackenzie Dern. Mackenzie Dern versus Angela Hill. You guys know I'm a huge Angela Hill fan. I'm rooting for everybody that's black, basically. All about Angela Hill. I would love to see an Angela Hill victory here. I think she's better than Dern in the stand-up. My only thing here is that I feel like Angie can at times, I feel like she could fall into the brawl with Dern, and in that brawl allow Dern to grab her and just like fall to the ground, pull guard. And I feel like Hill can survive those exchanges on the ground, but why put yourself in that situation, you know? Hopefully she doesn't. I think she's much better than her on the feet, and I think Angela Hill, who's coming on 2-fight win streak, can get it done, but I feel like Dern, I feel like Hill can get it done. Dern is the favorite, but yeah, I'm rooting for Hill. I'm picking Angela Hill to win this fight. I think she'll be better defensively with the grappling, and I think her stand-up is much better. So I'm gonna go with Hill in this one, man. We got some other fights on this card, like Edmund Shabazian versus Anthony Hernandez. Man, I fucks with Fluffy, dude. I fucks with Fluffy, and I think Fluffy will be too much for Shabazian, man. Shabazian was on that 3-fight losing streak, and then he won his last fight, looked much improved, but what we saw from Fluffy Hernandez, as he is on a 3-fight win streak right now, is that he's an absolute fucking savage, and he's great everywhere. I think it's hard. I feel like if you're gonna go against Fluffy right now, given what we've seen, I feel like Fluffy can go with a lot of the, I think he's a tough fight for a lot of the top 15 right now. I hold a lot of stock on this Anthony Hernandez guy, Fluffy. So I'm going Fluffy in that one. But I think that should be a pretty interesting marquee fight. Also on this card, you got Emily Ducote, who I believe, just fought Angela Hill, just lost to Angela Hill. She's fighting Lupita Godinez. Or am I wrong? Yeah, she did lose to Angela Hill. I was like, did Lupita Godinez just lose to Angela Hill? I thought she just lost. I was like, they both just lost to Angela Hill. There we go, Angie. There we go, Angie. Angie beat both their ass. I'm looking like, wait, didn't she beat one of them? Like, no, she beat both their ass. There we go, Angie. So Emily Ducote versus Lupita Godinez. That's interesting. Andre Fialho versus Joaquin Buckley. That's going to be a banger. There's some good fights on this card. Michael Johnson, Diego Ferreira. That's a banger. Yeah, that's a banger. Chase Hooper's fighting Nick Fiore. Yeah, Chase Hooper's fighting. Who's Victoria Leonardo? I thought she was the 40-something-year-old. No, this lady's 33. I don't think I know who this is. Oh, she just beat Mandy Bohm. I'm not sure who that is. But that card is going to be pretty nice. I'm interested in that. Yeah, I'm excited. And hopefully next week, if Amazon stop fucking with your boy, I'll be able to have that new camera here. And it's got these capabilities and it's pretty cool when I read about it. I would have liked to use it and put those in action, but hopefully next week. Yeah, I'm gonna get up out of here, but thank you guys for being here. If you guys would like to follow this podcast, as I like to tell you guys on Instagram and Twitter, it's at Babylon5Pod. You guys can email this podcast at Babylon5Podcast@gmail.com. If you guys would like to hit that like button anywhere that you're listening to this podcast, I appreciate it so much. I was thinking, like, I mean, if you guys are on YouTube, go ahead and just search Babylon 5 Pod. I don't have Babylon 5 Podcast. I don't have the link here in my notes, but I was thinking, I should probably tell these niggas to, I should probably put the link for the YouTube in when I'm babbling about this shit in the socials, but that's hopefully next week. We'll see. Yeah, if I remember, I'll do that shit. Yeah. If you guys are on Twitch, follow your boy at twitch.tv/Babylon5. If you guys would like to cop some merchandise, head on over to teespring.com/store/BOFpod-shop. And lastly, don't just be my niche, be my patrons. Head on over to patreon.com/Babylon5pod. And you can be my patron today. This has been episode 195. Walk that walk. Johnny Walker walked that walk last night, and I'm gonna walk me ass on up out of here. Thank you guys for being here another week. I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves and each other, and I'll see you when I see you. I'll holla.
Chant down Babylon kingdom, team make we chant down Vatican now. Dangling bling chant down Babylon kingdom, team make we chant down Vatican now. Chant down Babylon kingdom, team make we chant down Vatican now. Dangling bling chant down Babylon kingdom, team make we chant down Vatican now.